Hmm, I feel like I need to do something, for my community. How can I use all of my resources to, I have the perfect idea. Wait, feels too familiar. Been there, done that. I want a different vibe. This is way too cramped. Nah, a little too formal. Kind of like the Last Supper. Nope. Hello there, I'm Renee. Nah, that's a different show. Hey, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Situations and Conversations. I am your host, Renee, and I am so happy to talk to you today about our next guest. But wait a minute, let me back up, because we have to start with the situation. This is the show that is created with you in mind. So let's do that right now. Let's get into the situation. I'm an artist, a hip hop artist, and want to get put on. What do I have to do? You are asking the right questions and came to the right place, because this is a situation I'm sure other people want to have a conversation about. And I cannot think of anybody better to speak to this topic than my guy, Cool Nutz is in the building. Welcome Cool Nutz to the show, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, you're my guy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.
Of course.
I know you're crazy busy at getting on and off flights. You made time to come to my show. Appreciate that.
Yeah, but you know how far back we go. So that's anytime you call.
I know, you're so sweet. You're so sweet, but you are so busy. So busy. Okay, but let me back up. So you heard the situation.
Yeah.
You are a musician, a businessman, an entrepreneur, a manager, so many things. But the first question that a lot of people ask me, and I don't have the answer, is, where does the name Cool Nutz come from? I mean, I can kind of figure out, but I'm not going to go and be suggestive with you. I need you to explain it.
Well, a lot of the time people think when they think Cool Nutz, they think it means, I guess, my nuts are cool. It means cool, but could be crazy. So it's like the medium, essentially.
Oh.
Because that's like how you said, I'm kind of low.
Yes.
Yeah, but then if it's a show or something, then it's a whole nother side. So
no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, so who am I talking to? Am I talking to Terrence Scott, or am I talking to Cool Nutz? And how do you differentiate?
This is the in-between.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the in-between. Because sometimes Terrence Scott would be more the business and Cool Nutz is the artist, but it's the same thing. It bleeds over.
I understand it.
Yeah,
I get it.
Exactly.
And you have been about this life for many, many years. Do you mind if people call you an OG in this business?
I mean, I'd rather them call me that, than I feel like those accolades are more valuable when other people say you're a veteran or an OG or a legend or in that aspect, because it has more meaning when the people say it.
Yeah. Well, it's true. And I've heard other people say it. I definitely say it.
Well, thank you.
And that's an accolade that you have earned, my friend.
Thank you.
You've definitely earned that. So let's talk about the early days. What inspired you to even want to get into this business?
Well, I started with a passion just for the art form of hip hop. So breakdancing, DJing, which as breakdancing kind of faded out, it evolved into DJing and MCing and production. And when we started, we didn't have any ideas of the monetary side. You were doing it because you loved it. You know, how you dressed was hip hop, how you talked was hip hop. You were excited to go to the record store and get the new Snoop Dogg record and stuff like that. So,
man, the record store. Do anybody remember? I mean, we might be dating ourselves because we're the same age. But man, that used to be exciting. When you knew something was dropping, everybody wanted to go to the record store and cop the album or the cassette.
Yeah, you planned your whole day around it. Like,
yeah.
I'm going to go do this, I'm going to go to school or whatever, but then my first stop is going to go to the record store.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing music then? So, because how old were you then, would you say?
I would say I started like really trying to make music when I was probably like junior in high school.
Really?
When I really started writing raps. And then after high school, was when I kind of figured out, well, from what the people, like I said, the people validate if it's good or not. So once we put out our first couple of tapes and they sold, the people validated that it was worth us continuing on and that it was accepted by the public. So right after high school, Bosco moved to LA and went to
That was your partner back. Yeah.
yeah, he went to US. Also my best friend.
Yeah.
That's essentially like my brother, you know.
Okay.
He moved to LA to go to USC. And when he moved to LA, he started doing things more professionally. So he was able to get involved in the actual music business and LA scene of
Right.
artists and real production. So I was able to go to LA and kind of see how things were going out there. But then also coming back here, we were so synonymous with the Bay Area and independent music. So I had the best of both worlds, which was watching the Bay evolve, watching the E40s, watching people like Sibo and Drew Down and
Yep.
all of them come out of the Bay, In Too Deep, come out of
Yeah.
the Bay and put out records themselves. And then going to LA, completely different world because it's labels now.
Right.
So every artist in LA was looking to get a deal. Artists in the Bay and Northwest were putting out albums themselves. So we were able to kind of blend them together. Like I was able to go to LA and bring the aspect of the independent side
Hmm.
to what Bosco was doing. So then I could go to LA. We understood certain things from a business standpoint of like trying to record records that could get a record deal, but also putting out the records ourselves and selling them independently and generating income to fund promo, touring, and everything else.
So you already had the mindset of being on the business end as well as being an artist pretty much right away.
Well, I had to because once you put your records in a couple stores, you had to start understanding consignment. You had to start understanding simple things like using a fax machine.
Oh my gosh, you are really dating
Yeah.
yourself now. We don't even use those anymore.
I'm just saying, like,
Right.
so certain business aspects of running a company yourself, you had to learn certain things that were mandatory or
Mhm.
necessary for you to progress.
Right.
So I kind of had the business part put in front of me. Like when you go in Tower Records, you're dealing with the manager, the store manager. So you have to come in there from a professional standpoint. And even though, they're excited about getting the product, it's still a business thing,
Right.
you know?
Right. And you also, it's important to understand the business side so that you don't get taken.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
a lot of artists are so excited to just get offered a deal.
Yeah.
They sign it
Yeah.
and they basically sign their life away.
And that's real. And that's what people don't understand. Like I've watched artists do that. You sign a contract, you get some money. But the thing is, when you get that money from that deal, it doesn't keep coming. And the difference is nowadays, artists understand touring, artists understand social media, artists understand merchandise. Back then, on a major label, all you understood was putting out your record, shooting a video. I'm going to go platinum.
Right.
And
Getting
then,
played on the radio,
yeah,
right?
getting played on the radio,
Mhm.
and I'm going to be popular and go from there. So you had to understand, like, after you got this advance from this record label, now you got to record the album, you got to market the album, and then you have to get to a point where the album is successful to even generate revenue. So
Right.
yeah, so
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. So this situation is good because I know that there are a lot of talented people
yeah, a whole lot.
and a lot of people who may not be as talented, but they have big dreams. Either way, they want to get put on. But it's important, and I love that you're speaking to the business side of things. Know what you're signing, know what you're getting into, know how to actually generate revenue. It's all good,
Yeah.
to be shooting videos and having fun and doing all that. It should be fun.
Yep.
But then there's also the business side of things that you have to take care of. So speaking of business, so you and Bosco created the Just Family label.
Yeah.
That was 1992?
Yeah, that was around 92, 93. Yeah.
Okay. So talk to me about that. So what does it take to put a whole label together? It just sounds like such a huge thing.
I mean, at the point of, a label could encompass us being signed to it, and we're just putting out one or two
Your own
records.
music,
Yeah,
okay.
your own music, which is what it started as. Is that Just Family Records started as like Bosco and Cool Nutz. I would say essentially like a Snoop and Dre situation, where he was the
Okay.
producer, I was the rapper, and we came together through that. But at a certain point, then you also had to understand the marketing aspects, manufacturing promo materials, CDs. Like that's another thing. Like going into a record back then, you had to record, mix, master, do the artwork, print up the CD, get posters,
Yeah.
potentially hire a street team, You didn't have all the access to the consumer you have
Right.
now through the internet. It was a
Right.
physical thing. So,
Selling tapes and stuff out the back of the CDs out the back of the trunk.
and which is real.
Now I remember back in the day, because I'm from the Bay,
Yeah.
seeing Too Short at the Oakland Coliseum, or sometimes at the at Cal Palace. It used to be called Cal Palace in San Francisco. Just bumping his own music all around the parking lot, stopping every now and then to, pop the trunk, hook people up with some cassette tapes, and then keep it going and going and going.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking back then, like, that was so cool, but
Yeah.
now you don't have to do all that.
Nah, but the beauty of that though was you were actually out there with the people.
Yeah.
Like that's the difference is like, I feel like for us, we had to earn it because we were doing music and starting out at a time where people would tell you it's whack.
Right.
Like now you can create so many subgenres where it can be acceptable for what people would say is mumble rap, backpack rap, conscious rap, gangster rap,
Right.
and say, oh, I'm in this lane. But early on, it was only really two things, good and bad. You know what I mean?
And you needed to be good if you were going to make it.
Because people would tell you, like, if you got
Right.
on stage, you could get booed off stage. So you had to earn those stripes. And I think that's the difference is actually being out there physically touching the people. Like when you're out there selling your CDs to people, you're touching the people. They're interacting with you. They feel like they play a role in your success.
It felt like a connection. Like I mean, I didn't know Too Short. Like he wasn't my best friend or anything, but I felt like I knew the dude, you know? And so there was something in listening to the music that made me feel even more invested, And so I get that. And that's not happening these days. And it's really not happening right now during this pandemic.
Exactly.
So I want to hear from you though. So do you think that as an artist now that they need to know everything? Because when I hear you say stuff like mix and mastering and producing and all this, that sounds overwhelming. There's some people out here who just want to rap or they just want to sing.
Yeah.
Do they have to do all these things now in order to succeed?
You do, but it's so much easier now because technology has evolved. Literally, when we were running the studio would fill this whole space.
Oh.
Now you can have a desk with a laptop or a PC or whatever, a desktop computer, speakers, MIDI controller, an interface, microphone. And you might spend $3,500 versus $50,000 to $100,000 on a functional studio.
Wow.
So,
okay. So you're saying they don't. So artists today, because anybody's out here listening, wanting to get on, you don't necessarily need to try and find and book studio time. You just need to figure out how to make your sound right there on your own.
Exactly, but that's another part of it though too. As an artist, you have to understand that dynamic of if you don't know how to make it sound right, then you should go to a professional.
Okay, good.
Because even for me, I get a lot of music from people that's just not up to par, and it kind of sometimes you have to question them and say, well, who are you listening to? Because I'm sure what you listen to doesn't sound like this.
Ah,
you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I feel like you can invest in yourself, but you also have to invest in the technical side of attaining the skill set to be able to produce music at a certain level. Because a lot of people don't understand that. But with technology and this generation, they have so much more access to the labels are kind of cut out now.
Right.
So you have access to recording music, you have access to put it on SoundCloud, you can put it on Apple Music, you can put it on Tidal, you can put your music on Spotify. And you cut out the middleman, and you have a lot of artists who've achieved great success on their own without a label because the middleman has been cut out. So they have the hindrance of the record label, the dream of the record deal is still there to a certain degree, but the access to success, the access to the fans, the access to the world is way more easier than what we have.
I mean, we can have direct access right now.
Yeah.
All kind of eyes, just like that. So what do you think about somebody like, and I'm not talking about this artist in particular, but his story, but like Lil Nas X, who was on TikTok? Because clearly TikTok these kids are all about TikTok. And not just kids, I mean, everybody. And he just blew up on TikTok. Is that one of the, one of the ways that you think that somebody can, get themselves put on?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Is that's the example right there is with TikTok. TikTok defines music success now as well. So like you can literally put a song on TikTok and have a tastemaker or a celebrity endorse it and it can skyrocket.
And that be
Lil
that.
Nas, Lil Nas X is an example of that. Or some of these social media challenges where you might not know a song.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, you might not know what a song is, and it's a hashtag, this challenge attached to somebody's song. The challenge goes viral, then the song also goes viral.
Just like that.
Yeah. So TikTok, even Instagram, so many of those social media platforms give artists and even aspiring artists a fast track to success, a fast track to being heard.
Yeah. Do you think that you have to have a gimmick of some sort nowadays, or it's not just, I don't know. I feel like talent is one thing, but you got to have something else now because everybody's out here trying to do the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
I think your image, some could consider an image a gimmick, but whatever it is, it has to be consistent.
Okay.
I feel like for me, I didn't stick to just like, okay, this is my image. This is what I'm going to push. This is my message. And I feel like certain artists, like Nas has a certain aesthetic to what he does.
Wait, the Nas or this Lil Nas X?
Nas, the Nas.
The Nas, okay, Illmatic Nas.
Illmatic
okay, I just wanted to make sure we were talking about the same Nas.
Nas has a certain aesthetic to what he does, and he approaches it that same way.
Yeah.
He's, cool, laid back lyricist.
Yeah.
Fly dude from Queens, and that's the aesthetic of it, and you have a lot of other artists who are consistent in that way, and to some, there's a difference between a credible image and a gimmick. Like the gimmick are the ones like people that are embarking on rap beef to try to get, to try to get fame, or try to gain momentum or spark a buzz. And those, I feel like those are gimmicks. Imaging and proper marketing and being consistent in that aspect, I think can take you a long way because your fans, like when you look at Wiz Khalifa's image is the nice, fun smoker. Same thing with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Like, Snoop is like even outside of music, he's a cultural icon, but so much stuff is generated off of just his personality, his character. When you see him on TV, like, oh, that's Snoop Dogg,
You don't even have, you can hear him, you know who he is. You see him, you know what's up. I mean, he's a funny dude all around though. I mean, he's pretty much who he is.
Yeah.
On and off the camera.
But even business-wise, he's done a good job of, or whoever his advisors are, they've done a good job of molding that and staying consistent to that. And even in marketing or commercial opportunities, he's in positions that connect with his brand well. Like when you see like either the Corona commercials and he's on the beach, or
chill, laid back, Snoop.
Or Martha and Snoop, like their balance is crazy. And I think that's what a lot of artists should aspire for is creating something that's sustainable, even outside of just music, because a lot of people per se now aren't running out to look for a Snoop Dogg album.
Right.
But he's beyond that now. Even with like Diddy, like they're beyond music. Jay-Z, they're beyond music.
Right. They have branded themselves and catapulted themselves into another level.
Yeah.
Or like continue to reinvent, but still maintaining that same authenticity throughout. I like that. I think a lot of people are going to get some good nuggets off of that.
Yeah.
Because that's important. And anyway, you shouldn't be out here trying to create something that you're not because it won't be sustainable.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about Pohop. Okay, so Pohop, in case you all don't know, is Portland, Oregon Hip Hop Festival, right?
Yep.
Now, when did you start that up?
1995.
And has that, now I know we're in a pandemic, so things are a little bit different now, but why did you start that?
I actually, and this is crazy how things go because there's a story to that. David Parks, who's in a band called Too Many Zoos, and he was also in a band called Hungry Mob before that. When I first started putting out records here and gaining, notoriety and momentum, he had moved here from Indiana, and he was into the rock scene, but he was black. He was, so he's a black guy here in Portland into rock music and rock bands. And
Okay.
so he came to me and he's like, man, I'm from the Midwest, basically the East Coast. I see what's happening here in Portland, and I think there's some things that we can do. I see what you're doing with the music. I see the voice you have in Portland, and I want to use that as a vessel to do this thing called Pohop. So he essentially came to me and put the idea in front of me
Mhm.
and was like, I want to use what you built that's going to be the vehicle for us to get people to listen. So essentially what his idea with Pohop was to give artists in Portland a platform just like the rock bands had, which would be the main stages at some of these venues
Oh, yeah.
like Roseland, La Luna,
Mhm.
Burbades, and multiple other spots to show the city that Portland also had talent that was, worthy of those stages. So that was the main point of Pohop. So the first year of Pohop, we did one night, and I think we did like 500 people.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so that's all local artists.
Right.
The second year of Pohop, we did 2 nights, and the first night we did 800 people. Second night we sold it out like 1,000 plus, again for all local artists. So as we grew it, we started to incorporate different things like panels. We did panels. We did fundraising.
Okay.
And then, of course, there were the showcases. But then also in the showcases, we started to incorporate national artists. So we had everybody from, we had Freeway play Pohop, the Jacka, rest in peace, Large Professor DJ. Who else did we have? We had, of course, Jake One from Seattle. He came with Freeway. Mac Dre.
Okay, yeah.
Who else? Did I already say? I said Mac Dre already, didn't I?
No, we just said him. So
yeah.
it's good.
I said Jacka. Well, both
Yeah.
Jacka and Mac Dre are dead.
Right.
So Mac Dre, we had him, Andre Nicotina, E40, and a host of others because we wanted to, as we moved, as Pohop progressed, we wanted to have bigger elements to it that continued to draw the public's interest. So we incorporated national artists, we incorporated the panels, we incorporated,
That's dope.
yeah. So it was definitely a monumental thing for the city.
Well, and not just for the city, but for other people to know that coming out of, away from Portland, coming into Portland, to see that the scene is like, wow, so that Portland can actually be recognized.
Yeah.
Because you don't hear a lot about Portland hip hop unless you're here.
Exactly.
And the scene is thriving. I mean, even though we're in this pandemic, people are still, doing their thing. You are still doing your thing, which I'm really excited about. Now, here's a real question that I got actually from a viewer who wanted to know, is there a certain age to start? Basically, it sounds like this person might be a little bit more mature in age and wondering if it's not too late.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you see a lot of the hip hop people, they start younger.
Yep.
And then they grow into it, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, you have some older OGs in the game, but they have been in it for a long time. Are you ever too old to start?
I think I don't think you're too old to start. I think that you also have to be aware of being relevant and how you can be relevant and even what your lane is. I think some people don't understand that part of it. Like age, of course, age is a big part of music and pop culture because the youngsters dictate what's hot. Like they embrace pop culture, they push it, like even the more popular or whoever the popular artists are, they're the youngsters, 23, 24 years old, even younger than that. When you look at somebody like the NBA young boys or even Lil Nas X, like they're young, they're 21, 22. But when it comes to age, I feel like now hip hop has so many lanes now to where you can sustain even being older. Like you have a lot of artists now that are over 50 years old that are still touring, that are still relevant.
For sure.
But
they started earlier.
Yeah, and they did,
I mean, I guess I look at it like Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
He has such a huge career, right? And he didn't start until he was in his late 40s or something like that. Yeah. So I guess we could keep hope alive.
Yeah, I think that if you find your lane, nowadays you can create a lane for yourself. And if it's just for people that want to hear good hip hop and you know how to market that with Spotify, with Apple Music, with SoundCloud, with all of those avenues, you can cater and market your music to those people. Because I don't feel like when you make music, you don't have to make it with the idea of going platinum. You can make it with the idea of that you love the music.
Right.
You
You
know what I
should be
mean?
doing it
Yeah.
seriously, because this industry is not for the faint of heart.
No.
What I wanted to ask you too is, people need to do it for the passion of doing it, because have you found that all that glitters isn't gold in this business? Because the outside looking in, obviously it looks like, everybody's popping bottles
Yeah.
and, they having a good time. They got money and rollies and
Yeah.
Benzes and all this, just
Yeah.
looks like everything's, wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
Have you found that it's like that for most artists?
Most definitely. I feel like there's always that illusion of grandeur. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everything is gonna be big and popping in the after party and the,
And the after party.
Yeah. But nobody talks about the show in Montana with 12 people, and you drove 12 hours,
Right.
and you were hoping that it was going to be a big show, and you might have done it for a door deal, so you walk out of there with $14 or something crazy.
At the end of it, right
at the
after you
end,
spend
yeah.
all your money, everything it takes to get there and all that.
Yeah.
No, that's real though.
Or nobody tells you about like with our second record deal. Nobody tells you about the disappointment of like when your career is in somebody's hand and you have everything shaping up for it to be successful. You have the label jockeying for you. You got paid good money. They're telling you all this great stuff is going to happen. You're being flown out places to push your record. You're in the Source magazine. But then the same label that's supposed to be pushing you is the same label that is also responsible for holding you back or doing things that weren't in the best interest of your career because maybe it was in conflict with another artist they were pushing.
There you go.
mean?
That part. That's why you have to understand the business.
Yeah.
The business, because it is a business at the end of the day. Everybody on that level is just trying to make money.
Yeah.
And if you're not passionate about it, you're not making and seeing what, all the glittery and the gold stuff, you may easily just be like, forget about it.
Yeah.
But that's so, I thought about that too. So many times being exposed and being in radio for as many years as we also have.
So you already know. You see
I've
artists
seen
come
it.
in there. Yeah, you see
Oh,
an artist come in there and they're literally, when they come in, they're pumping them up to be the biggest thing ever. And you know that this artist is just starting out.
Yeah.
But they've sold this artist this dream that they drove, they flew into San Francisco and did Sacramento and San Jose.
Right.
Then they flew to Portland and we're going to get in the car and drive from Portland to Seattle. And, and they're thinking like, oh, I'm going to blow up.
Right.
And as they're going to these radio stations, the PD's not going to play those records.
I know.
You know what I mean? You've seen it firsthand.
Oh my
gosh.
You
come in, you interview an artist, you interview them, and after you interview them, this interview might run somewhere, maybe late at night, or might not run.
Or may not run at all.
And the song probably won't get played.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the whole thing that people don't realize. Like the label thing, the success thing is so built up to your expectations. And that it's easy to be disappointed. It's easy to feel like you said, all this glitter is not gold. It looks good from the outside, but it's a lot of you're not in control.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I understood about labels. On our second record deal, I understood. First one, I understood that. Second one, we were positioned better, but we still weren't in control. You're not, because say you're positioned next to this artist whose last album did 2 million records. We got a little momentum, but the label has funded and dropped so much into this artist, they need them to be successful.
Right.
And it could be at the expense of don't invest as much into, to what we were doing. So, yeah.
Man, so much to consider when you want to get into this game. But it sounds like if you get into it for the right reasons, it's well worth it.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
well worth it. Thank you so much for dropping these gems, man. I mean, I could sit here and talk to you all day because, we go back. So there's so much. But this is so funny because I asked you about your pet peeves.
Yeah.
And one of your pet peeves struck me as I was very interested to hear about this. You can't stand dimly lit hotel rooms.
Because
What is that about? Do you need good lighting?
Yeah.
Are you looking for the perfect
Nah,
selfie?
it's like you know, like when you go to a hotel and you go and you check into the room and you sit all your stuff down, especially when you travel a lot. You
Uh-huh.
sit all your stuff down and then you turn on the lights and then there's this corner that's just dark. And you can't light it for nothing. Like there's no way to light it. There's no lamp.
Yeah.
There's no and so like me and my wife go places and I'll walk in and we'll turn on the lights and she's kind like now she's kind of the same way. She'll be like, the lighting in here is terrible. And it's like, because it's like nobody thought about like this corner.
Right.
Why is it so dark in this corner? Like if I sat here and I wanted to read,
Right.
I couldn't read.
I love that.
You know what I mean? So that's one of the things that's always kind of, because I end up in so many different hotel rooms in so many different places that you notice the nicer ones,
Yes.
the well thought out ones,
Yes.
the ones that were actually designed for your comfort.
You understand?
Yeah.
I totally get that. That's so funny though. It's like Oprah says, it's in the details.
Yeah.
It's in the details.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Or the
Okay.
hotel where you know they took the lamp out the corner and just never put it back.
I have never thought of these things. Next time
Yeah.
I travel, I am definitely going to pay attention to this because of you.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
of you. And maybe I'll travel for a fishing trip because I know you like to do that too.
Yep. That became one of my pandemic hobbies, was fishing.
What do you catch?
Trout.
Really?
Yeah.
Big mouth bass myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my next one.
All right.
I just haven't went to the places where they have them.
Oh, Clear
Yeah.
Lake, and we gotta go to the bay. I
Okay,
know the
yeah.
perfect spot.
Yeah,
My
we
dad
got
hooks me up.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This is so wonderful. Cool Nuts, everybody. Yay! Now, see, I'm telling you, I think the situation around being an artist, if you haven't had the answers, I don't know what you're looking for, because my man dropped all the gems for you, all the gems. So I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And you know you got to come back. We have
most
so much more to talk
definitely.
about.
Most definitely.
Social impact and all that good stuff.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do that. All right, you guys. Well, there was the situation and we had the conversation. And please make sure that if you have a situation you want to have a conversation about, just let us know. It's easy. Just drop it in the comments and tell a friend or 5 or however many you want, because we're here for you. And I so appreciate you for joining us today. Now, before we go, you know what I say. When you think me, think we. Peace. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. And I so wanted to, we have to talk.